Here is why this is perfect. Standard Chartered just cut their XRP price target by 65%, dropping from $8 all the way down to $2.80 based on slowing cross-border payment adoption and compressed institutional timelines. Crypto news, but here is the explosive contradiction. XRP has a settled SEC lawsuit, 7 live ETFs with
$1.44 billion in cumulative inflows, and Ripple completed its $1.25 billion hidden road acquisition, the crypto basic, and the price still fell 40%. At the same time, a Coinbase survey of 351 institutional investors conducted with Ernst & Young shows 25% of institutions are planning to add XRP
to their portfolios in 2026. Bitcoin is one of the world's biggest banks quietly cutting their target while institutions are simultaneously planning to buy more is the most explosive contradiction in XRP right now, and nobody has made a clear video about it yet. Now here is your complete transcript followed by all SEO and thumbnail materials. Here is your complete transcript in plain text. Copy everything below this line. One of the most powerful banks in the world just did something very quietly. They did not make a press release. They did not send a notification to XRP holders. They did not appear on financial television to explain their decision. They simply changed a number, a very important number. And most XRP holders have absolutely no idea it happened. Standard Chartered Bank, one of the oldest and most respected financial institutions on Earth. A bank with over 170 years of history. A bank whose research reports move markets. A bank that millions of professional investors and fund managers read every single week to make decisions about where to put their money. That bank just cut their XRP price target by 65%. Not 10%, not 20%, 65%. They were predicting XRP would reach $8 by end of 2026. That $8 target was one of the most cited and most celebrated price predictions in the entire XRP community. XRP holders shared it everywhere. It gave people confidence. It gave people hope. It made people hold through months of pain. And Standard Chartered just quietly changed that $8 to $2.80. Now, before you panic, and before you celebrate if you are a bear, I need you to stay with me for the next 12 minutes. Because this story is not what it appears to be on the surface. And the truth hiding underneath it is something that every single XRP holder needs to understand right now. Because there is a shocking contradiction buried inside this story. A contradiction that Standard Chartered did not explain. A contradiction that the financial media did not cover. And a contradiction that could mean the exact opposite of what this price cut appears to say on the surface. I am going to show it to you, step by step. Right now? Step 1. What Standard Chartered actually said and why it matters. Standard Chartered is not a random crypto website. It is not an anonymous Twitter account with a price chart. It is a $200 billion global bank with one of the most respected research divisions in the financial world. When Standard Chartered publishes a price target for any asset, professional fund managers read it. Institutional investors adjust their models based on it. Financial advisors who manage millions of dollars of client money reference it when making recommendations. The original $8 target that Standard Chartered set for XRP was one of the most powerful institutional endorsements XRP had ever received. It was not just a price prediction. It was a signal to the institutional investment world that a major bank believed in XRP's fundamental thesis strongly enough to put a specific high target on it publicly. And now they have cut that target by 65%. The reason Standard Chartered gave for cutting the target was specific. They cited 2 factors: slowing cross-border payment adoption and compressed institutional timelines. Let me translate what those 2 phrases actually mean. Slowing cross-border payment adoption means that banks are adopting Ripple's payment technology more slowly than Standard Chartered originally expected. The timeline for banks actually using XRP in their daily operations is taking longer than projected. Compressed institutional timelines means that the big institutional money that was supposed to flow into XRP through ETFs and direct investment is coming in more slowly than the original model assumed. These are real concerns. They deserve respect, and I am not going to dismiss them. But here is where the story gets complicated. Because at the exact same moment that Standard Chartered is cutting their target due to slowing institutional adoption, a completely different and more recent piece of data says the exact opposite. Step 2. The Coinbase survey that directly contradicts Standard Chartered's reasoning. 2 months ago, January 2026, Coinbase conducted a major institutional survey in partnership with Ernst & Young, one of the most respected accounting and advisory firms in the world. They surveyed 351 institutional investors, not retail investors, not crypto enthusiasts, professional institutional investors, most of them managing assets above $1 billion each. And here is what that survey found. 25% of those institutions are actively planning to add XRP to their portfolios in 2026. 25% of 351 institutions, each managing over $1 billion. That is roughly 88 institutions planning to buy XRP this year, managing a combined total of trillions of dollars in assets. Standard Chartered cut their target because institutional adoption is slowing. But 88 institutions managing trillions of dollars are planning to buy XRP this year. How can both of these things be true at the same time? The answer is timing. Standard Chartered is looking at what has already happened. The survey is capturing what is about to happen. Standard Chartered sees adoption slowing in the rear-view mirror. The institutions in the survey are describing what they intend to do looking forward through the windshield. This distinction is everything. Because markets do not move on what already happened. Markets move on what is about to happen. Step 3. The 3 real reasons XRP has not moved despite all the good news. Now I want to give you something that almost no XRP YouTube channel is explaining clearly. Because the question that every XRP holder is screaming right now is simple. Why is the price stuck at $1.30-something when everything looks so positive on paper? The answer has 3 parts. And understanding all 3 will completely change how you think about your XRP. Reason 1. Bitcoin is the prisoner that XRP cannot escape. XRP tracks Bitcoin roughly 80% of the time. When Bitcoin moves, XRP moves with it, usually in the same direction, and usually at 1.8 times the magnitude. When Bitcoin dropped after the Fed's March 18th decision, XRP fell 10% in the same window, while Bitcoin only fell 5%. It does not matter how many wins Ripple stacks up. If Bitcoin is falling, XRP falls too. And right now, Bitcoin has been stuck between $65,000 and $75,000 since February, until Bitcoin breaks above $75,000 and holds it. XRP could have the best fundamentals in all of crypto, and the price would barely move. Reason 2. Whales have been selling consistently since July 2025. Since XRP hit its all-time high of $3.65 in July 2025, large holders have sold an estimated $6 billion worth of XRP, and roughly 3.8 billion tokens have flowed onto Binance since January 2026 alone. In late February, $652 million worth of XRP moved onto the exchange in a single week. That was the largest weekly inflow of the entire year. When whales are sending that much XRP to exchanges, they are preparing to sell. And that consistent selling pressure absorbs every wave of new buying before it can push the price higher. Reason 3. XRP ETF institutional participation is much lower than the headlines suggest. Here is the number that shocked me most when I researched this video. Around 84% of the money currently in XRP ETFs comes from retail investors, individual people, not institutions. Only 15.9% comes from institutional filers on official SEC disclosures. Compare that to Solana ETFs, where institutional participation is already at 48.8%, 3 times higher than XRP. And even Goldman Sachs' massive $154 million position has been flagged by Bloomberg analysts as likely trading desk activity rather than a long-term conviction bet. The institutional wave that everyone is waiting for has barely started. These 3 factors are why the price is stuck. Not because XRP is failing, but because the forces holding it down are powerful and they have not been overcome yet. Step 4. The new XRPL upgrades that Standard Chartered may have missed. Here is where I believe Standard Chartered made a significant error in their analysis. Because they published their revised target without fully accounting for something that just happened this week. Ripple just released its official XRP ledger development roadmap for 2026. And the upgrades coming to the XRPL in the next few months are the most significant in the network's history. 3 specific upgrades that every XRP holder needs to know about. Upgrade 1. Institutional grade privacy features. Institutions often cannot use public blockchains because they do not want competitors seeing their large transactions. And regulators require full auditability. These two requirements have always been in conflict. The new XRPL upgrade introduces encrypted balances and opaque transfers that remain fully auditable by regulators. This means institutions can now trade on the XRPL without revealing their positions to competitors while still satisfying their compliance requirements. There is nowhere else in crypto where institutions can do this today. This single upgrade removes one of the biggest barriers to institutional XRPL adoption. Upgrade 2. Protocol-level lending features designed for institutions. XRP holders have not had many ways to earn yield on their holdings the way investors on other blockchain networks can. The new XRPL lending protocol changes that. Institutions will be able to lend XRP and earn returns on it. This creates a new reason for institutions to hold XRP rather than just trade it. And institutions that hold XRP rather than trade it reduce the available supply on exchanges, which helps price. Upgrade 3. Compliance-friendly DX improvements. The XRPL's decentralized exchange is getting upgrades that allow tokenized asset holders who need regulatory compliance to trade with each other. And every trade on this new DX requires XRP for transaction fees. More institutional trading activity on the XRPL means more XRP being used and burned in fees. More burning means less supply. Less supply means upward pressure on price. Standard Chartered's revised target was based on current adoption speed. It did not account for an XRPL that is about to become dramatically more useful and more attractive to the exact institutional investors they cited as being slow to adopt. Step 5. The April factor that changes everything. Here is a data point that just came out today and that Standard Chartered definitely did not include in their analysis. XRP has a historically bullish April. Going back through every April in XRP's trading history, the data shows that April is one of XRP's strongest performing months on average. Analysts tracking this pattern are projecting a potential 24% gain in April 2026 based purely on this seasonal pattern. Now, seasonal patterns are not guarantees. Past performance does not predict future results. I want to be honest about that. But here is why April 2026 specifically is different from previous Aprils. The SEC remedies brief for the final settlement of Ripple's case is due on April 8th. This is a critical date. If the SEC submits a reasonable and modest penalty in that brief, it will remove the last remaining regulatory overhang from XRP's history. The case that suppressed XRP's price for 5 years will be completely and finally resolved, and markets price and resolution of uncertainty very quickly. April 8th, write that date down, because the size of the SEC's proposed penalty in that brief will tell you more about XRP's near-term direction than any price chart or bank target. If it is modest, buy pressure will likely spike immediately. If it is aggressive, there will be temporary pain before the final resolution. Either way, April 8th is the most important date for XRP between today and the end of Q2 2026. Step 6. My honest verdict on Standard Chartered's cut. You have been patient. You have stayed with me through 5 steps of detailed analysis. Now I owe you my honest conclusion. Was Standard Chartered right to cut their target? Partially, yes. Their reasoning about slowing institutional adoption in the rearview mirror is accurate. The institutional wave has been slower than expected. The ETF inflows have slowed dramatically from over $200 million per week at launch to under $2 million per week now. The whale selling has been relentless. Bitcoin's sideways movement has kept a ceiling on XRP. These are real facts. But was Standard Chartered right to slash the target by 65%? I do not believe so. And here's why. Their analysis is backward-looking. They measured what already happened and projected it forward. But they did not adequately account for the XRPL upgrades coming in the next few months. They did not account for the April 8th SEC remedies brief that could finally close the legal chapter. They did not account for the Coinbase survey showing 88 institutions planning to add XRP in 2026. And they did not account for April's historically bullish seasonal pattern. $2.80 by year end is not an insult. From today's price of $1.33, that is still a 110% gain, more than doubling your money. Most investments in the world would celebrate a 110% annual return. The question is whether the forces currently holding XRP down, Bitcoin's sideways movement, whale selling, slow institutional ETF participation, are temporary or permanent. If they are temporary and the catalysts I described overcome them, the original $8 target becomes relevant again. If they are permanent, $2.80 may actually be optimistic. My honest assessment: they are temporary. All three of them. Bitcoin does not stay sideways forever. Whales do not sell forever. Institutional participation does not stay at 15.9% forever when 88 institutions just said they are buying this year. Standard Chartered will revise their target again. The question is which direction. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Standard Chartered's 65% target cut is justified? Or do you think they made a major mistake that they will have to reverse later in 2026? Type cut justified if you think $2.80 is the right target and Standard Chartered got this right. Type major mistake if you think Standard Chartered will have to revise back toward $8 before the year ends. And type somewhere in between if you think the truth is more complicated than either extreme. Drop your answer in the comments right now. I reply to every single comment in the first hour. This debate is one of the most important ones in the XRP community right now, and I genuinely want to know what you think. Subscribe right now, because April 8th is 11 days away, and I am going to post a dedicated video the moment the SEC submits their remedies brief. That video could be the most important XRP video of the entire year. You do not want to miss it. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you are the first to know when it drops. Thank you for watching. I will see you on April 8th, and I will see you in the next one.